Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is. Thank you for tuning in to your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. I am the host of Viking Donkey, once again joined by the one and only Mutant Gingy to bring you NFL instant draft analysis since it just wrapped up today, Gingy.
NFL Draft 2021. Hello, everybody. Mutant Gingy here. We rocking it. Donkey,
But
what do you
are we?
think? 2021.
But
We
are we?
got we had a magnificent hair flip at number one. Trevor Lawrence. I saw it. Did you see it?
Sunshine,
Did you see it?
sunshine. Every time I see him, all I can think about is remember the Titans, bro.
Even my girlfriend, she was, doing her thing, playing Animal Crossing, whatever, while I was watching the NFL draft. She looked up from that. She's like, "Did that man just flip his hair?" And I'm like, "Yes, sweetie, he did. He's also the best quarterback in the country right now and coming out of college. So that's what you do." I don't know. But no
Hey,
surprise over there. No surprise for your number one overall there, Donkey.
no, not at all. I mean, set in stone for a long time, but we did have some fun ones going. I mean, Penny Sewell fall into 7 overall to Detroit was kind of shocking. I mean, you're sitting there at Detroit, you don't expect to see the best offensive tackle prospect just sitting there ready for you to take. That was a little surprising, I guess.
A lot of skill positions going before him. Kyle Pitts, tight end, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, a couple wide receivers.
Three
A lot of skill
quarterbacks
positions.
shows you the way the league is going, where the value picks are the receivers, the quarterbacks, the playmakers, and the concrete foundations seem to fall. But then once they start going, those foundation pieces are just snap, 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 snap off the board. And before you know it, as just a little preview, there's no instant starters left in the third round because the foundation parts started going.
Yeah, Donkey. I mean, these. I don't know. What do you think about the overall class for those type of folks this year? Those big foundation linemen, the big tackles, centers, guards, Donkey. I don't know overall
Uh,
this year. There wasn't a ton of, outside of Penne. Wasn't
um,
anything that blew me away.
I mean, you're talking the other ones early in the first round. Darrisaw is probably an instant play starter. You're talking Vera Tucker on the inside. If Landon Dickerson didn't get hurt, you're talking a potential first round pick in him. You also have to bring in guys like Slater. And then you have, of course, the Raiders doing Raiders thing and taking Alex Leatherwood as the third tackle off the board because the Raiders just love to reach. I mean, you're talking a guy with a second round grade. You're talking probably the seventh or eighth best tackle, and they're like, this is the guy we want because just like Kellen Farrell a few years ago, we're going to prove you wrong, even though you didn't prove us wrong. Everyone was right about him, and now you're trying to do it again with Leatherwood. I mean, oy. On draft day, I would not want to be a Raiders fan.
Yeah, that's real scary. 5 quarterbacks taken, Donkey, in the first round.
It's the way the league is now. I mean, I've said it 2 or 3 years. I see a quarterback I like. He comes out with probably a late first round grade. By the time the draft process is done, he's a top 20 pick. This year it was Mac Jones. Before it was Baker Mayfield. These are guys I'm like, these are guys the Steelers can get. Sure, we're going to take him a little early, but I like this guy as a quarterback. And before you know it, you're drafting at 20. The only type of guys available are Kyle Trask. Like, if you're not picking early in the draft, it's hard to find a quarterback nowadays because even the guys who are fringe good starters are going to be gone.
Where did Kyle Trask go? Third
Last pick of the
round?
second round to the Buccaneers.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Gets to go
No, I
study
think
under
Mac
the
Jones.
Tom Brady.
I think Mac Jones is going to do all right in New England. We'll have to see him up there competing with Cam Newton.
Tom Brady 2.0 just went to New England. And I don't think he's going to be what Tom Brady is, but the college version of Tom Brady is essentially Mac Jones. And I understand the college version of Tom Brady was back when people thought he had no mobility in this, which Brady has since proven he has decent mobility, and we know Mac Jones has decent mobility. But if you put on the tape and watch the two, they're very, very comparable guys.
Yeah, another guy went high up donkey for me is Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. Went to Arizona at 16. What kind of would I like to seen him fall to the Steelers myself?
Uh, so the fall there was mostly because I think the draft guys had it wrong on what the favorite middle linebackers were. Because the guy they seemed to always have going as the first middle linebacker was Jeremiah Owusu Komora, who ended up going 52 overall to the Browns, which, by the way, good pick up there going that late. But it seemed more the NFL guys liked Micah Parsons, which makes sense with his athletic ability, and Zaven Collins, who are more traditional, bigger, three down, can stop the run linebackers rather than this new hybrid 6', 220 fast linebacker that would have been the pick there. So I don't know if that was overly surprising as much as just the draft gurus misreading the room.
Mm-hmm. I can see that, Donkey. I can see that.
But,
did anybody else stand out in the first round for you?
Just college quarterbacks getting receivers they did it with in college, or NFL quarterbacks getting receivers they did it with in college. I mean, Jamar Chase going to play with Joe Burrow again. Jalen Waddle going to play with Tua Tagovailoa. And I just butchered his name. Sorry, Tua. I mean, the reuniting of college teammates to me was crazy. Hell, we even had a first round reunite of teammates. Trevor Lawrence got to reunite with Travis Etienne. Like, you can't make this stuff up. And it just goes to show you these good colleges are getting the kids. Like, these top 5, 6 colleges are getting all the big brown kids. That, to me, is what the surprise was just how the major programs are starting to just dominate the first round in ways you haven't seen. And I'm not talking like 1 year, have 8 kids go. I'm talking every year you're seeing Clemson, Alabama. I know it's been Bama for a while, but now you're adding Clemson to it. You're adding Ohio State to it. Like, there's just these top-tier college programs that are just getting and producing kids at an alarmingly good rate.
Yeah, you made a comment to me when we were watching the draft, Donkey. I think you texted me something about, I think every Alabama player is going to be gone by round 4.
It seemed that way. I mean, just off the board. Leatherwood, Dickerson, Najee Harris, both the receivers, the quarterback. I mean, defense. I think they even had a couple defensive linemen go in there. They had the cornerback, and I don't remember which NFL son played there. I think it's not Asante Samuel Jr., so who would it have been? Oh, man, why am I drawing blanks on names now, Gingy?
Is it Patrick Surtain?
Yes, that. Patrick Surtain the second. I mean, you just saw the Bama kids going. You saw NFL kids going. I mean, you're talking J.C. Horn. I have to give a shout out there because Joe Little Bighorn was one of my favorite receivers to watch. Watching Joe Horn pull a fucking cell phone out of the goalpost, man. I loved it. I loved Joe Horn. So watching his kid go in the top 10. I love
that.
That's fun.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Also, who the heck let Zach Wilson out of elementary school to go get drafted? I mean, geez Louise, dude. I don't think I even looked that young when I was 14, and I looked like a little baby face, but New York's got its new little baby face in Broadway Zach, and I hope this works better for him than it did for poor Sam Darnold. I hope they protect him.
Yeah, the draft environment was fun. It was fun to see the players at home with their families. It was fun to see the players who showed up there, and I don't know. It was cool.
Thank God no one waited in the green room for like 30 hours. No Brady Quinn type falls.
Oh, that's the most dramatic, though, Donkey. Dude, that makes for quality content. No, right there.
Dude, I feel terrible every time that happens because that's just some poor kid who was told bad things by someone showing up and just being literally just getting. And I understand getting drafted, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. But when you're in the green room and you're waiting there for like 20 picks, like you're getting embarrassed on national TV. That's just second off,
that is
having the draft in Cleveland, like Could you have picked the worst time to have it? Like, it just looked miserable. Like, everyone looked cold. Like, outside of being drunk, I don't think people were having too much of a good time. The analysts couldn't even open their notes.
The analysts. Booger McFarland on the call on ESPN was quite entertaining to me.
Well, I only watch it on what's CBS, ABC, whatever one actually hosted it. I don't remember.
No, there were some good calls on there. I felt like they brought up some. I really like it when they bring up picks from the past that these guys make, like Kuiper and McShay and that, trying to make calls and what those calls look like 10 years later. There was one that was brought up, Donkey, where Mel Kiper was saying that I think it was the 2004 draft when they were talking about Rivers and Manning and Roethlisberger, and he was for sure going in on one of them three being a bust, and I found that quite entertaining. I'm sure that I have made quite similar claims myself that in hindsight they don't age very well.
You can't blame him, though, when you consider normally first-round quarterbacks, if more than 3 go, at least one of them doesn't pan out. And that's even with one of them being taken later in the round. Like, that draft class, he picked a bad time to go out on a limb on a all-time historic draft class in terms of quarterback talent.
Yeah, sometimes you get bit. We'll have to see about this quarterback draft class. I myself have suspicions about Trey Lance.
I had 2, and I have always said if you feel like your quarterback is a first-round talent, you take him when you can get him, and nowadays that means a lot less. Quarterbacks are going to sit around into the mid-first round. I had only 2 top 10 quarterbacks this year, though, and that was Trevor Lawrence, and I love what Justin Fields brings. Zach Wilson definitely has the most electric arm out of the group, so I can't disagree with the Jets there, but I had him more in like the 10 to 20 type of range guy, but you can't be wrong taking your quarterback in the first round, because let's be honest, the most influential position is the quarterback, and you have to have one to be successful. You're not going to be successful with Andy Dalton. No offense to Andy Dalton, good, solid back-end starter type, but the best you're going to do with Andy Dalton is build a really good team and get to the playoffs. You're never going to be an actual contender with an Andy Dalton.
Ooh, that's bold, Donkey. Cowboys fans are tuning out right now.
They don't have an Andy Dalton. They have a Dak Prescott. That's the step above Andy Dalton. That's like the Kirk Cousins level.
Dalton plays for what, Chicago now?
Yeah, remember they tweeted out that QB1 thing and everybody made fun of them like hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
But then they go,
playing for Chicago now.
Chicago sitting at 20 has to feel so great that they were able to move up and get a guy like Justin Fields. Like that.
Yeah.
That's a move.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that those two there, Andy Dalton's going to fall back into that backup role. I think Justin Fields is going to get you think he's going to get the rip there from day one?
I certainly hope so, because I saw what Mitch Trubisky was able to do with that team, and I think Justin Fields is already an upgrade from Mitch Trubisky, and that team made the playoffs with Trubisky there. And I think Fields is already a more polished passer, and he's definitely, and this is no slouch on Trubisky because he's a good runner, but dude, Justin Fields runs a 4.4. Come on now.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Donkey, I'm ready to talk some Steelers. How about you?
I have one question before we get into the Steelers draft.
What's that now?
The Steelers are building a team to win this year, right?
Well, that's what the take of Ben Roethlisberger back on this team would look like.
So then
That's the whole point.
I have no problem with individual players where they were taken necessarily. My bigger problem was the Steelers are building a team to try and win this year. Their draft picks don't follow that. I mean, maybe you could say, and I don't disagree if the first round one says it, but if the first round one says you're trying to win this year, that means you have to follow it up in the second round taking something different than they did. I don't feel like the Steelers drafted to win this year. And I think either that's a knock on their trust in Ben, which maybe they are hedging their bets towards the future with this draft, and maybe they weren't so fully committed to Ben as we think, and or it shows a team that just seems to lack direction. Which, if you watch the drafts the last 3 or 4 years, I mean, sure, they got guys like TJ Watt, but honestly, their drafts just seem to be out of sorts. I don't mean this to sound terrible because we clearly draft better than the Raiders, but we're starting to lean the way of the Oakland Raiders in terms of drafting, and that's scary.
Ooh, that might be a little harsh.
Dude, we took Terrell Edmonds in the first round. And I like Terrell Edmonds as a player.
On this team, Donkey.
He is a good starter, but he was a second-round pick. Okay, let's not act like we didn't take Kellen Farrell. Our version of it is Terrell Edmonds. Let's be honest here. And you're talking a team that hasn't hit on like a late-round draft pick in probably 5-6 years. This is a team that's really lost its ability to draft. And that's what scares me about a lot of these picks, is a lot of these picks were low upside picks.
I definitely agree with that, especially as we started to get into the later rounds, Donkey. But I'll begin with Najee Harris. I don't think you can go wrong right there with RB. The running back that they chose, it was either him or Etienne, and I think they chose the right one. They needed an RB1. They really need a line to block for an RB1, but they also really needed an RB1, and they took one. Not incredibly disappointed at 24.
I hate first-round running backs. I don't necessarily hate the pick. I think Najee Harris was good value. That's about where he should have gone, was late first round. I just hate first-round running backs because you can find the value of it later. Also, no offense here, but Najee Harris is not going to look very good behind that Steelers line if that Steelers line plays anywhere like they did last year. And
EJ Finney.
You're still on that one.
Just throwing it out there for you.
We're still on that one. And Najee Harris is going to find the world a lot different when he's having to make people miss 2 yards in the backfield rather than the first guy miss 2 yards downfield. I think he's a fine all-around running back. I think he's maybe worthy of a first-round pick. I don't think any running backs are worthy of a first-round pick. But if there was running backs in this draft that are, it's him and Travis Etienne. I would have been more of a fan of Travis Etienne, but that's because I'm more of a fan of the home run potential. And Najee Harris does not really have home run potential, whereas Etienne did. But I don't think it's a bad situation. And I mean, to me, though, it's also a pick that it's more of a future pick because very few running backs come in their first year are superstar studs. Normally it takes them to year 2, year 3. You look at guys like Le'Veon Bell. Rashad Mendenhall even was better year 2 and 3, a former first-round Steeler, who, by the way, was my top comp to Najee Harris, was Rashad Mendenhall. I also think high-end comp was Ricky Williams, low-end comp is Trent Richardson, just because Alabama connection, didn't run any time, same type of numbers. But I don't mind the pick of Najee Harris here. I just feel like it was more of a future value pick than a help today pick, just purely off the fact that sometimes it takes running backs a little while to get it going. I mean, even Derrick Henry wasn't the king until, year 2 or 3? I think it was year 3. I don't think he even broke 1,000 career yards until year 3. So, it's okay. The pick itself was fine. It's the next pick I think we're going to get into that makes it a problem for me.
Yeah. Looking at picking round 2, Donkey.
There's about 6. There's still 6. By the way, this pick's on the board. There are still 6 potential day 1 starters on the offensive line that the Steelers could go. Didn't take a day 1 starter in the first round. There's still day 1 starters on the board of the offensive line. Where do we go, Gingy?
We went to tight end. Pat Freiermuth, Penn State. Donkey, right. I'm not okay. All right, can I begin here? Go. I'm not necessarily mad at this guy. I find him to be a good offensive tight end. Yep. Good offensive tight end. Hot to trot in the red zone. All right, he's got some new moves out there. Over aggressive blocker. Going to need to be coached up hard in that regard. Okay. Not a bad pick at 55. for a team that requires an immediate tight end,
Right.
which is
Agreed.
not this team. Which is
Agreed.
not this team, Donkey. You know what we do require immediately?
An offensive lineman who can actually block, right?
A guard, a tackle, or a center. Pick one. Doesn't matter. Pick one of them, and we'll take it.
Agreed. That's why I think the round 1 pick hurts, is because what happened in round 2. And not only that, like, this is what makes me think the Steelers are confused. Like, the free agency, it looks like they're trying to go all in for this season, and then they draft like it's for the future. Because let's be honest, at most he's going to see, 40, 50% of the snaps on offense unless Ebron gets hurt here?
Yeah, and I'm thinking if that.
By the way, Penn State fans, I'm not hating on him. I actually grade him out right about here. I mean, all the people I look at, he fits well here as a value pick. The bigger problem is the Steelers don't need a value pick here. We can't be picking for necessities when we have a glaring need on offensive line that, if it's not addressed, picking Najee Harris was useless. Bringing back Ben is useless if we're not going to fix the offensive line. And by the time we're going to get up in the third, there's going to be no day 1 starters left on the board. We take a tight end who, I honestly, when I look at him, I see Kyle Rudolph from the Vikings. I think that's his number 1 comp. I think that's his top end comp. Honestly, other tight ends he's kind of close to is, like, if you remember, Lance Kendricks or Ed Dickson, good receiving tight ends who were good back end starters, top end backup type of guys. But everyone tries to sell me on something that I don't see. Like, I've watched his tape. I've seen enough of him. Because the Steelers were mocked to him a couple times in the first round, I've seen plenty of him. I've watched plenty of him. And when I watch the tape, I'm going to say something here that's going to make a lot of people mad. He's a hell of a lot more Jesse James than he is Mike Gesicki. He's a hell of a lot more a 6th-round pick than he is a 1st-round pick. I think he's a better Jesse James. I think we took him in the right spot, but I don't think he's a difference maker on his own. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good cog. I think he could be a 10-year starter. I think he could be a lesser Heath Miller potentially, but different way. A better receiver, less of a blocker. Why? Why are we taking a backup tight end in the 2nd round?
That's all you can hope for. I mean, really, is that, like we're taking value with that pick. You know, like Heath Miller, tight end, pulled off the board at number 30 in 2005. You know, we're looking at similar places. You know, for late 1st round to late 2nd round picks.
One is
you got to be okay. In my opinion, in the 1st round, you pick for value. In the 2nd round, you pick for necessity. If I was a GM, that's how I'd do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you can pick. I'll agree with you on this. If you're a team that's looking to compete today, that is definitely the best way to do it. If you're a team that's just trying to build a roster, you just pick for value every pick, right? Because you just need a boatload of talent. You do what I think Jacksonville did a good job of this year. You just take the best player every time. And I think the Jaguars did a really good job of that this year. I don't understand what the Steelers were doing here. I mean, it wasn't a position of need. And even if it was, he wasn't just, if you're going to draft just to have the best player, I don't think he was the best player on the board at that time even. I have nothing against the kid. I think he will work out fine. It's just, we could sign Jesse James today, and I think this year he would be as productive, if not more productive, than Pat Firemouth, who I'm probably saying that name wrong. Sorry, Penn State people, not a Penn State fan.
I hope he turns into a good set of reliable hands for Ben on 3rd down. You know, good little safety blanket. Let's hope, Donkey.
Man, with that receiving core, if he's seeing the field on 3rd down, someone better be hurt.
Yeah, this year anyway. But, you know, like you said, playing for the future.
Gingy predicting Ben staying next year? Well, we got it on tape. Everybody chalk it up. Gingy saying this is not the end for one Ben Roethlisberger.
It may or may not be, Donkey. And at this point, the end is come and gone, maybe, right? So where is it really, Donkey? Where is it?
Last year.
In case that elbow gets warmer.
Oh, you mean where is it going to be for the Steelers, not for when it should have been? Who knows? Do you want to get to the third round pick, who, by the way, is, in my opinion, a really interesting prospect?
Well, finally we get to a position in need. Kendrick Green, guard out of Illinois, donkey, at number 87 overall.
Going to play guard or center in the pros?
I think we're gonna. I don't know. I haven't seen the tape, donkey.
I have, and he's a very similar guy to Isaac Samolu, who started in his second year for Philadelphia. He's a little bit undersized at 305, has a really strong lower body. I'm hearing he can squat 700 pounds. Not the biggest upper body. And he's a dude who, by the way, I like this pick. I don't like the fact that he was our first lineman. I like him as a developmental guy. If you start him in year one, it's going to be like Dotson. You're going to have games where you're like, dang, he's good, and games where you're like, this dude shouldn't even be on the field. What the heck did we do picking him? One of the best impact blockers in college. I think he racked up like the second or third most high impact, aka pancake blocks in college, but dude, his footwork is bad. He gets blown up by bigger guys. Like, if you put on tape, bigger guys go around. And everyone's like, but he's good for his own blocking scheme. He's good at moving. No, he's not. Put on the film, and if you put on the right films, you will watch at least 4 or 5 times. I joke you not. This dude, with no one touching him, trips his own ass trying to pull and go to the other side. This dude is not athletic. This dude has explosive abilities when he can actually hit the block, but poor footwork leads to bad pass blocking, and the dude trips himself. Also, I heard he's going to be the next center for the Steelers. Dude, I'll say this, he'll fit in with the way we've snapped the ball the last 3 years. He'll fit right in, because his snapping the ball and shotgun snaps is terrible. Like, I could see him at center or guard, but he's not a dude that should be starting this year. He shouldn't even see the field this year, if I'm going to be honest with you.
That's a tough hit to take in round 3.
Hey, I'm telling you, though, this dude is going to be a plus starter. I don't think Pro Bowler, but I think a plus starter.
Yeah. When you're building, like you said, though, Donkey, it's so hard to build a team for now and the future. Man, we need something right now, Donkey. And I don't think we got it in round 3.
I'm not sure we got it in round 1, 2, or 3. I think Najee Harris is replicable to what James Conner could do right now, just because Conner has more experience in there. The upside of Najee is better, but I'm not sure it's going to be day one better. Like, say what you want, it takes people a little while to get acclimated, and these running backs tend to actually run out of steam at the end of the year. So if you're building a team to be competitive this year, you don't want a running back that's going to run out of steam at week 13.
No, you don't. But we do have some other young running backs there, though. Hopefully they can.
Benny No Yards. I guess you could hope McFarland or Samuel steps up, but Benny No Yards, is that who you're going to bank on? And I want to be optimistic. I want to believe in this team.
I like McFarland. Okay.
I can hear you on that. I think he's a good spell back. So maybe you split the duties and keep them both fresh. I can feel that. I can dig that.
And he's a guy who I think was in that rookie position just last year, where he's getting a little winded, adjusting to the fast pace of the game. And I'm hoping that he produces.
I think dumbass Randy Feechner just doesn't know how to use a guy like that. But luckily, we don't have him anymore.
Goodbye.
So do you want to get on to our 4th round picks? We got a couple of them.
two picks in the first round, or in the 4th round, excuse me, and we finally use a 4th round pick on a defensive player.
Right, that's the second of the two. We can start with him. The second of our 2 4th round picks, Buddy Johnson, out of Texas A&M? Is that right?
Texas A&M.
Dude can tackle. I will say this, the dude can tackle, the dude can play downhill. Bigger problem is he's a little undersized linebacker who doesn't have elite speed. Is definitely not a 3-down backer. Could be a good replacement for Vince Williams, but I don't see why you need to replace Vince Williams when he's still on the roster.
True, but I like this pick. I like defense, Donkey, and I'm okay with a surefire tackler and a good downhill sledder.
Should be a good special teams contributor too.
I approve of that.
I like this pick too. I really do. I mean, I would have preferred someone with like more starter potential, but he's a good fill your roster type of guy. More talented Tyler Matakevich, very Robert Spillane ish in terms of current Robert Spillane. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit out to par if you put him in to try to cover, but gonna play downhill and not gonna be afraid to tackle. Like I'm sure he wouldn't be afraid to meet Henry in the hole either. I'm not sure he could stop him like Spillane did, but I do like that pick.
Let's go.
And when you get to fourth round, these are the type of guys you take. The guys who, if they pan out, become starters. And I see him, if he pans out, being a potential guy you could put beside Devin Bush and take out during passing downs.
Yep, I agree, 100%. I feel good about it. Like I said, surefire tackler and Steelers develop linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
That's a culture there that has and still remains. That offensive side of the ball, that's where things are shaky. But that defensive culture can develop those positions.
Well, as long as it's not secondary. We're pretty bad at developing cornerbacks. All right, so let's get to our first fourth round selection, which was Dan Moore Jr., offensive tackle, Texas A&M again, right?
Yep, another Texas A&M boy.
Average footwork, average speed, no real push off the ball, not really a grinder, not really a good great pass pro guy. I mean, just average. If he hits his upside, it seems like he becomes a swing tackle. Your third tackle, your guy who can back up either end. It does not feel like there's starter potential in this pick. I don't understand this pick. He's a guy who almost everybody graded out as a sixth rounder or worse. It seemed like a reach. It seemed like the Steelers realized, oh man, we made a mistake and didn't address the offensive line enough early, so we're going to take a guy on the board whether or not we should. This one feels like a reach. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he starts from day one and is great. It makes me look stupid, but it feels like a reach.
It did to me too, Donkey. I mean, we knew we needed to fill those positions, and I feel like in the third and fourth round we were just running out of options, even though we knew we needed to fill those positions.
Yeah, there was a huge run late second, early third of the good offensive linemen, and I know there wasn't like huge top tier quality guys, but there was enough that we should have got one of them, I feel, and then I feel that led to this reach.
Yep.
Oh, but do we want to get to the fifth rounder, which was an even bigger reach? And to me, the worst move the Steelers made. And it's not even because of the player, because I don't hate the player. Because this is my feeling. Once you get past the fourth round, coaches should just take players they have a crush on for one reason or another. However, you should not trade up to take a guy who was projected to be an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, so from Dallas in the fifth round at 156, the Steelers selected Isaiah Loudermilk.
By the way,
tackle from
his
Wisconsin.
name is sweet.
Loudermilk.
And did you see the way he spells Isaiah? Bro, that is the most unique way I've ever seen that name spelled.
Double H at the end.
ISAIAHH. Like, there's letters going everywhere in that. I love it. I'm not going to lie. The name is great. Trading a future fourth rounder to get a guy who I don't understand. I don't think anyone would have took him before we drafted in the sixth, but hey, there's something I'm missing in this guy, right?
I hope so. I don't know. He's big.
He is the prototypical size. I mean, to test, he dropped down to 275. He said he played at 290. The fact that he dropped down to test makes me really curious of what his speed would be at his actual playing weight, and it makes me think it was really bad at his actual playing weight if he's willing to drop 20 pounds to test better. You're talking, what is it, like 6'8", 295 is what he said his playing weight was. Prototypical Steeler type of rotational defensive end. But I just don't see why you trade up to get that guy when you already have Stephon Tuitt, Cam Hayward, Chris Wormley, Tyson Alualu. You just the last couple years have drafted Isaiah Buggs, Carlos Davis. I don't see why you trade up to take a guy who at least seems at best to be a Chris Wormley rotational type of guy.
I don't think you trade up to get him. I mean, if he's available, he's there, but I don't see why he needed to cost us anything.
No, and that's why I'm saying the Steelers are starting to feel to me like we're trying to draft like the Raiders. We're not that lost. I'm not saying we're that lost. I'm saying we are starting to make moves that just make you scratch your head and go, what? Ooh, next pick, by the way, guy I like. Really guy I like. Go ahead, Ginger, lead us into it.
Yep, we're looking at round number 6, pick number 216, Quincy Roche, linebacker out of Miami.
Did most of his production at Temple, and boy, did he do production. You're talking like, I think it's right around 30 sacks in 3 years in Temple, like AAC Defensive Player of the Year, I believe, or Defensive Lineman of the Year. The Steelers need depth at defensive line or at outside linebacker.
Yeah, so are we talking about a guy who, plays on 2 feet or can get down into the 3-point stance?
Definitely has to play outside like linebacker. That? He's only 243, so he can't be a down lineman.
Okay.
Fits its. So guys like this are available for a reason. He's only 243. He measures very average, like no stats above average percentile. So you're talking average skills, big production. You're talking this to me, the prototypical every Steeler fan's gonna love pick. Like, let's go through names or free agent, undrafted free agent we bring in every year. He's the type, like, I really hope he develops into an Anthony Chickillo. I know that people are going to be like, that's not much of an upside. But Chickillo was a good rotational piece, great special teamer. He could be like Ola Adaney, a better special, or good special teamers, but not quite a good rotational piece. Or he could be like the love life guys, like Keon Adams, your Tuzar Skipper, your Travis Feeney, your Sutton Smith. The one the Steeler fans are like, oh, I love this guy's potential. He's going to be the next great outside linebacker. He's going to be the next James Harrison because we develop him so well. But 2 years later, you're like, wow, I didn't even remember those names. But when someone says them, you just get this little bright flash in the back of your head because you're like, oh, I had a man crush on him. My personal favorite, and I've talked about him, was Tuzar Skipper. I had a man crush on that dude's athletic ability and what he had done in college. I really hope he turns into at least Chickillo, but he's your prototypical Steeler pick here, and that's why I like to this pick. It's just your prototypical Steeler pick.
Yeah, like I said, another linebacker can really develop into that culture. I think that's good value for the Steelers at round 6. This guy has a high upside for that late in the draft. I think we did all right there.
That's my second favorite Steeler pick of the draft. So we're on to round 7, and let's get into the first guy.
Round 7, Round 7, number 245 overall, Trey Norwood, corner out of Oklahoma.
Gingy, did you get to watch any of the tape on this guy?
Donkey, I watch Oklahoma when they play from time to time, Donkey, and I'm saying this guy is not okay. This guy is a typical corner that the Steelers would draft.
By that, you mean going to be out of the league in 2 years? Because I feel you.
Yes.
But I don't know if I would say that about him. Because normally the Steelers draft guys who at least look like they could play the part.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Measurables and metrics, he hits the mark. Play on the field, lesser than.
His recovery speed is just terrible. His hips are so stiff. Like, oi. I watched his Senior Bowl practice tape, man, and all I could say is, why did he even go? Like, that tape he put out was just bad. And then if you go and watch outside of like 2 games for Oklahoma, you go on and watch, and he's just getting smoked. Like if you watch Oklahoma highlights, there's a reason no one plays defense in the Big 12, and it's because guys like this are your top tier starters.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Can we land a corner?
Who knows?
Finally,
Honestly, I
Pittsburgh
think
Donkey?
we might have as an undrafted free agent. We picked up a couple decent guys. There's the guy out of Michigan State who had 5 interceptions in like 8 games, and there's the guy out of Duke who is related to Darrelle Revis who just happened to be hurt all the time. So who knows? Maybe one of those two will work out. But I don't think we landed it here. No.
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Time for the thing that saves the Steelers draft grade for me, Gingy. And time for the thing that is my number 1 best Steeler pick of the night. Let's go.
Wow, Donkey, you might be a little extra excited about this, but we'll go ahead and lay it out there for everybody. Round number 7, number 254, Presley Harvin the third, Hunter out of Georgia Tech.
6 foot, 260 pounds. You heard me right. 260 pounds. The dude is just what you want. A big, fat punter. Like, I haven't had a player I loved this much since Jared Lorenzo was drafted out of the University of Kentucky as a quarterback. I know that wasn't by the Steelers, but dude, this dude, and let's be honest here, the skill set is real. Averaged 44 yards net this year with 48 yards per kick. The leg is real. And, dude, I just want to watch him wobble down and land on one of those 200-pound kick returners and just squish them.
Oh man, Donkey, that's crazy. Yeah, hopefully he swings some bombs with that leg, man. Because I'll tell you what, the Steelers do punt a lot.
Yeah, yeah, we do.
Punted a lot last year. I'll tell you that much.
Oh,
Hopefully he drops some bombs.
Sad but true.
It sure is. It sure is. And that rounds out the 7 rounds of the Steelers draft. Donkey, any notable undrafted?
Like I said, I can't remember the names, but we got 2 corners who look pretty good. I like both of them. We got some undrafted wide receiver from Hawaii, and I don't know why, but just the fact that it's some dude from Hawaii, I was like, that's cool. No idea if he's gonna be any good. I mean, there's still some people out there. I would have loved us to sign the quarterback from Georgia Tech, who didn't play this year, Newman, I think his name is, but I think he signed with Washington. I would have loved to see him take him. He has a big arm. I would have loved to seen a guy like, oh man, I can't think of the receiver from Georgia Tech who's like 6'4" and can catch the ball. I would have loved to see them, but they signed elsewhere. I don't know why the undrafted free agents are just all slipping my mind, but I don't know. We'll see. There's still ones being signed. The fact that they had like, I'm not kidding. I think out of the 8 ones we signed, 4 or 5 were cornerbacks or safeties. It says something. We're definitely not happy with those positions, as we really went hard after it with the undrafted free agents. Odds of them amounting to anything, very slim. That's the same with any draft pick after round 4. Odds of amounting to anything are not very likely. So take them what you get them. I hope the best for all of them. I hope every one of these players works out. I hope this is the best Steeler draft class in history. I don't see it, but I hope it. I'm not going to argue. I mean, let's get into what do you feel this draft deserves grade-wise?
Oh, Donkey, this draft for me, Mutant Gingy gives the Steelers 2021 draft overall a C. I find that they took good value in the first and second rounds. I found that they had good potential with the 3rd round pick with the guard. But overall, I would have liked to see more contributions to that offensive line.
I hear you. I'm similar to you. I give it a C plus B minus range just because I do feel the first 3 picks were good value. And if you're looking at the draft as a whole where, hey, did they get value in players? Did they not reach? I think the first 3 rounds, honestly, actually, I think the first 4 rounds you can't really reach. And I felt like the first of our 4th round picks was a reach, which is why it drops below just a B to a B minus C plus range. And if it's in terms of drafting for what the Steelers needed to be competitive this year, I feel like it's a D. In terms of for this year, I think it's a D, but the draft overall I feel is like a C plus, B minus, and I give it that high because, dude, that the punter we drafted is if he makes the team, I'm buying his jersey. That's all I'm gonna say. Dude is 6'2", 260 punter. That is my new favorite thing. Like, I've never seen a punter like that in my life, and seeing one on the Steelers would be the greatest thing ever. And I need a new jersey because Connor's gone. I'm cool with taking a punter jersey. I'm not gonna lie. And or maybe Loudermilk if he actually turns out to be something, because that's a pretty sweet last name.
True that. I like it.
So, Gingy, anything else you want to talk about this week?
No, I think that pretty much. Side note.
Side note. Does this mean we're gonna go try to bring Big Al back because we didn't draft a tackle?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he gone.
I thought he was gone too, but he hasn't signed anywhere. We still have a little bit of money. We still have a couple guys we could restructure, and I don't particularly want to bring him back, but I'm going to be honest, our offensive tackle position makes me nervous.
Yeah, me too. Big Al would be a welcome sight at this point.
We can hope. No, so let's see. Any other Steelers stuff? Any other good football stuff? Any other crazy stuff? Side note, did you see Mr. Irrelevant? Some long flowing white guy hair for you. I know you love that shit.
Oh, yeah. Let's get it going.
Oh my gosh, let's see. Well, who was Mr. Irrelevant this year? Going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the final pick of the NFL draft. It will be Grant Stewart, linebacker from Houston, with some nice long flowing locks for the Gingy.
Beautiful. Beautiful donkey.
Hey, Gingy, it's that time of year. By year, I mean day. Part of the episode. It's been a long one, apparently, because I'm all sorts of confused out here. It's time for a shout-out. Who we going with this week?
Shout out, donkey. For me, this week, I'm shouting out a guy. Well, you don't really know, because you never hear from the actual people in these news articles, but a guy who I think has been severely underappreciated in Green Bay. The reigning NFL MVP, speaking up, wanting out. You know, if he wants to go somewhere, Big Ben, we love ya, but I'd welcome you with open arms to Pittsburgh. Shout out to Aaron Rodgers for trying to go get what's his.
He ain't trying to downgrade, bro.
Just saying. I'm just opening the door.
Dreams.
I'm putting the
dream big dreams.
Exactly.
I like it. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of people getting all pissy and not wanting to play up to their contracts, but I get it because teams will throw you out just as quick as they sign you. So I'm not against players being able to do things. I just don't want to go the way of the NBA, man. I don't want to see super teams. I really, 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 really don't.
Yeah, but I'm against how, kind of how things have been going in Green Bay for him.
That is fair. They haven't done him the greatest things in the world, but he does have a good receiver now, so that's good. Let's see. Who should we shout out? I have to give this shout out because I missed my chance last week and I totally forgot. But shout out to Alex Smith doing it his way. Say what you want about the guy. I know he was a number 1 overall pick. He went out, he worked his ass off. He got told he might have to amputate his leg. He got told he might die. He got 17 surgeries, and the dude came back, played the season, made the playoffs, and then goes out on his own terms. Dude, there's no greater story than what Alex Smith overcame. There is no greater story than how Alex Smith got to where he is. And honestly, that Comeback Player of the Year award needs to be called the Alex Smith Award. I am happy he called it a career. I'm happy he was able to come back. And I, for one, wish him nothing but the best in whatever he does next.
Hey, that's a good shout out, Donkey. I agree. He had a heck of a career.
Yeah. He might be, for a lot of people, the longest lasting first round bust ever. Because I know a lot of people still view him as that.
Well, he hung around though, and he had a few playoff teams in there.
He's a pretty solid guy all in all through his career. But that probably wraps it up for us today. Thank you all for hanging out with us. You can reach us on the comments on the YouTube, reaching me at my socials, Viking_Donkey on Twitch, Viking_Donkey at Twitter, just Viking Donkey at Xbox. Send me an email, leave a comment on the YouTube, leave a message in the Twitch chat. I can get back to it. Whisper me on Twitch. And as always, you know where to reach Gingy.
Mutant Gingy, Xbox Live. We out here. We playing some Madden. You know what we do.
We rocking the new season of Fallout.
Oh.
Let's go. You know what time it is, Gingy?
You know what, Steelers fans? Put them together. We got some new players on this team. Let's welcome that 2021 draft class to Pittsburgh. Steelers Nation. Wave them if you got them.